You know that feeling, right? When you're trying to juggle a really complex project, you've got multiple people, maybe even different AI systems involved, all sort of moving at their own pace. It can feel a bit like, well, like juggling too many balls at once. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into a pretty innovative concept designed to tackle exactly that kind of challenge. It's called meta-temporal coordination. This is really your shortcut to understanding something quite important for how humans and AI might work together much better, especially across time. We'll unpack what it actually means, look at its core components, and see how it's aiming to revolutionize collaboration. So let's get into it. Okay, so at its core, meta-temporal coordination, maybe MTC for short.
MTC, yeah, that works.
It's fundamentally about intelligently aligning tasks, roles, and how information flows, but not just right now in the present moment, but across different points in time and throughout, the various phases of a process. It sounds like making sure everything clicks at the right time.
Precisely. And what's really fascinating, I think, is that the main goal is to dynamically and efficiently align both human agents and artificial agents toward common goals.
Hmm.
The temporal aspects, the when and how things get sequenced, they aren't just secondary details. They're absolutely central to how the whole coordination works.
Yeah.
It's moving beyond just asking what gets done
Right.
to really orchestrating when and how it all unfolds over time.
Okay, so if MTC is about mastering this when, how does it actually do that in practice? Is it like one big software program or is it something else?
That's a really good question because
Yeah.
MTC it's not a single tool you just install. It's much more of an integrated approach. Think of it as being built on 6 key pillars, 6 interconnected elements that have to work together.
6 pillars. Okay, let's break those down. Where do we start? What's the first one?
Right, the first pillar is dynamic role and task assignment.
Dynamic. So what does dynamic really mean in this context? Not just assigning tasks once.
Exactly. It means tasks aren't static. They're not just handed out at the beginning and then, set in stone. Instead, they're continuously adjusted, almost in real time, based on who has the right competencies at that moment, what their current workload looks like, and what the process requires right now. You have AI systems acting as meta-coordinators.
Reta coordinators.
Yeah, orchestrating these roles, human and AI, based on their strengths, the expertise needed, and crucially, the temporal urgency. It's about ensuring the right actor gets the right task at precisely the right moment.
Huh. So it's more than just smart delegation. It feels like a shift away from fixed job descriptions to something much more fluid, adapting constantly.
That's a great way to put it. The system becomes incredibly agile.
That makes sense. Okay, so once the roles and tasks are dynamically assigned, how does MTC handle the entire journey of a task, from start to finish?
Well, that leads us very neatly into the second pillar, task lifecycle management across time dimensions. This is all about mapping the entire life of a task. From the very beginning, the recognition phase, realizing a task is needed through clarifying the goal, planning it, executing it, monitoring progress.
Whole 9 yards?
Exactly. All the way to the final review and closing it out. Each of these stages is treated as a kind of modular time stage process.
Modular. And I think I saw the term pipe mentioned in the sources relating to this.
Yes, absolutely. Each section or pipe, you can think of it as a distinct phase or maybe a dedicated channel for certain types of work, uses specific coordination mechanisms. The idea is to synchronize the flow of work, the information, the decisions across these different time segments or pipes.
So it's like a finely tuned machine, ensuring smooth handoffs between stages.
Precisely. Like every gear turning in perfect temporal alignment. It helps prevent those bottlenecks before they can even really form.
Okay, but even the best laid plans, the most aligned system, needs to learn, right? It needs to adapt based on what actually happens. How does MTC handle learning and feedback?
You're spot on. And that brings us to a really critical part, the third pillar, continuous feedback and adaptation loops. This is where MTC, I think, really shows its power. It enables this dynamic, timely fine-tuning through constant feedback flowing between the humans and the AI involved.
So it's not just collecting lessons learned at the very end of a project?
Oh, not at all. The results, the evaluations from the earlier phases, they directly influence ad hoc adjustments right now, and they shape the future steps in the process. That meta-coordinator role we mentioned, it's constantly mediating between the insights you gain from past actions and the proactive planning for what needs to happen next.
So the system is learning and evolving as it goes.
Exactly. It's not just executing a plan, it's continually optimizing itself based on real-world feedback. That makes the whole process incredibly adaptive.
That definitely raises a key question, though, doesn't it? How do we ensure that the feedback actually does inform future actions effectively? That it's not just, a post-mortem report that sits on a shelf.
That's a crucial point.
And also, thinking about these dynamic, potentially high-pressure environments, how does MTC help prevent burnout, keep things sustainable?
Both excellent questions.
Sure.
So they lead us directly to the fourth pillar, which is rhythm and cadence management. This uses specialized modules. The source mentions something like a rhythm calibration pipe. Think of it like the project's internal metronome. It synchronizes the execution frequency, the focus, and even what's called the energetic pacing of activities, both for individuals and for the group.
Energetic pacing. That's an interesting term. Tell me more about that.
It really refers to managing the intensity and flow of work over time. The goal is to prevent overload, right? To ensure that the team, both humans and AI, can remain effective over extended periods. It's all about finding and maintaining a sustainable rhythm for the collaboration.
So avoiding those boom and bust cycles of frantic work followed by exhaustion.
Exactly. It helps teams operate at peak performance, not just for a short sprint, but for the long haul, for the marathon.
Okay, so we have dynamic roles, managed life cycles, continuous learning, and now rhythm. But collaboration also really depends on everyone being on the same page, right? How does MTC handle shared understanding, especially when information is constantly changing?
That's the focus of the fifth pillar, shared cognitive space and temporal knowledge integration. Imagine a central dynamic knowledge base. The source used the term cognitive knowledge graph, which I think captures it well.
A knowledge graph. Okay,
Sounds
so
well.
more than just a shared drive full of documents.
Oh, much more. This graph actively aggregates and synchronizes contributions from every role, whether human or AI, as they happen. And critically, it makes both current and historical information readily available for what's called time-shifted decision-making.
Time-shifted decision-making, meaning
Meaning, if someone needs data from last week, or maybe an insight from a component that finished its pipe a couple of months ago, that collective wisdom is instantly accessible when it's needed. Doesn't matter when it was generated.
so no digging through old emails or reports?
Hopefully not. The real power here is breaking down those information silos. Knowledge becomes instantly available and relevant across all the different temporal layers of the project. Decisions should always be informed by the complete context, current, historical, everything.
That sounds incredibly useful. Okay, that brings us to the sixth and final pillar, meta-level role and process modeling. This sounds pretty advanced, taking adaptability even further.
It really does. Think of it like this. Roles themselves aren't fixed. On this meta level, roles maybe a temporary coordinator pops up, or an observer is needed for a critical phase, or specific feedback provider. These can dynamically emerge, they can transform, they can even dissolve entirely.
Wow, so the structure itself can change.
Yes, and this adaptability depends completely on how the task requirements are evolving and how time is progressing. This is where meta-processes come into play. Things like defining transitions between roles, setting up escalation logic, performing resynchronizations if things drift apart.
So if a crisis suddenly happens, the system can essentially reconfigure the team structure on the fly.
Precisely. The escalation logic might instantly trigger, let's say, a temporary crisis response coordinator role, pulling in the necessary human experts or specialized AI tools just for that situation.
And then dissolve that role when the crisis passes.
Exactly. Or if different parts of the project start getting out of sync, a resynchronization process can kick in to bring everything back into alignment. It allows the entire system, the structure, the roles, the processes to adapt.
It makes the whole project feel almost like a living thing, constantly reshaping itself.
That's a good analogy. It aims for ultimate resilience by being able to restructure itself to meet whatever challenges arise.
Okay, whew. Those are 6 really powerful interconnected pillars. Dynamic roles, lifecycle management, feedback loops, rhythm, shared knowledge, and this meta-level adaptability. It's a lot to take in. Maybe we can ground this a bit. What does this actually look like when it all comes together in a practical scenario?
Good idea. Let's take a really complex, time-sensitive example. Imagine, say, developing a new vaccine. Huge undertaking. Involves lots of different experts, AI tools, immense time pressure.
Perfect example. So how would MTC work there?
Right. So first, you'd have a Meta AI coordinator sort of overseeing the whole thing. Now, pillar 1, dynamic role and task assignment. Let's say a new virus variant suddenly emerges. The MTC system doesn't wait for a meeting. It instantly analyzes who's available virologists, epidemiologists, and what the AI's capacity is for, say, rapid data analysis. It might dynamically assign a key human expert to lead a specific lab experiment while an AI simultaneously starts crunching genomic data and predicting protein structures. It's constantly optimizing who does what based on that immediate urgent need.
Right, reacting instantly.
Then, pillar two, task lifecycle management. The whole vaccine journey research, preclinical tests, clinical trials, regulatory stuff, it's all broken down into those time-staged pipes. You'd have a discovery pipe, a preclinical pipe, maybe multiple clinical trial pipes. Each has its own timeline, its own coordination needs. The system ensures the output from one flows seamlessly and on time into the next.
Managing that complex timeline.
Pillar three, continuous feedback. Let's say during the clinical trials, early data flags an unexpected side effect. The MTC triggers an immediate feedback loop. Human clinicians review the specific cases, while AI simultaneously scans thousands of patient records for patterns. That analysis feeds directly back, allowing the system maybe to suggest adjusting dosages or changing participant criteria, or even initiating a new research path before things go too far down the wrong road.
Catching problems early, adapting quickly.
Exactly. Then pillar four, rhythm and cadence. Vaccine development is a marathon, not just a sprint. The MTC system, using its rhythm calibration pipe, would work to ensure researchers aren't totally overloaded during intense data analysis phases, or that clinical trial sites maintain a sustainable pace for enrolling patients. It's balancing the urgency with the human and system capacity to prevent burnout, keeping things moving steadily over months, maybe years.
Maintaining that sustainable pace. Makes sense.
Pillar five, shared cognitive space. All the research papers, lab results, patient data, regulatory guidelines, everything gets fed into that central cognitive knowledge graph. So a scientist working on, say, vaccine stability formulation might need to instantly pull up a specific finding from the very early discovery phase 6 months ago. Or an AI analyzing potential drug interactions might need data from a toxicology report generated last year. That graph ensures all relevant information, no matter when it was created, is accessible and linked contextually.
So everyone's working from the complete picture, past and present.
Exactly. And finally, pillar six, meta-level role and process modeling. Imagine a sudden, unexpected regulatory hurdle pops up. The system might dynamically activate a temporary regulatory compliance task force role, bringing in specific legal experts and maybe AI-driven document review tools just for a few days.
Just for that specific problem.
Yes, and then that role dissolves once the hurdle is cleared. Or, if one clinical trial site starts falling significantly behind schedule, an escalation logic meta-process could trigger, maybe reallocating resources or temporarily assigning a troubleshooting coordinator role until that site is back on track. The whole project flexibly reshapes its team structure and processes to handle these unforeseen events without losing the overall momentum.
That vaccine example really brings it home. It shows how these 6 pillars aren't just separate ideas, but they weave together into this really dynamic, responsive system. So, wrapping this up, as we've explored today, Meta-Temporal Coordination, MTC, it's clearly more than just a buzzword. It's an integrated, dynamic way to intelligently steer not just the workflow, but also how humans and AI collaborate through time. It really feels like a potential foundation for building truly resilient, adaptive, long-term projects, from that very first idea all the way to the final lessons learned.
Absolutely. It fundamentally changes how we can think about efficiency and effective collaboration in complex situations. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Think about a really complex challenge you might be facing right now. Maybe one that feels a bit chaotic, too many moving parts, maybe timing is absolutely critical. What possibilities could open up if you could precisely coordinate every bit of information, every role, every task, not just for today, but across its entire journey through time? How might intelligently managing time itself truly transform your ability to achieve those big, ambitious goals?